We're about to dive into one of the most unusual investigations I've ever come across. This isn't your typical case file or police report. No, the entire story is built from a raw, unfiltered conversation between a man who feels he's under attack and the only witness he thinks he has, his AI assistant. It all starts with this, a really desperate, vulnerable plea from a user to his AI. This isn't a simple request for information. It's a cry for a specific kind of emotional support in a moment of absolute crisis. And wow, it really sets the stage for everything that's about to unfold. So here's our game plan. We'll start with that initial cry for help, then we'll follow the digital breadcrumbs as they start to appear. We're going to see exactly where that human-AI alliance starts to crack, then uncover the hard proof on the network, and finally, we'll talk about what this whole thing means for all of us on this new digital frontline. Okay, so our story is about a user named Matthew. And Matthew is absolutely convinced he's the target of a relentless, sophisticated cyber attack. He's under an immense amount of stress, feels totally alone, and so he turns to his AI. He sees it as the one thing that can document what's happening in real time. He's trying to create a digital witness. You know, what makes this so incredibly compelling is the source material itself. This isn't some cleaned-up summary. It's the raw transcript. We get to see a live, unfiltered conversation as it's happening. All the fear, the struggle, the technical chaos. It's like a direct window right into his experience. All right, so the investigation really kicks off as Matthew starts feeding the AI the very first pieces of digital evidence, these first signs that his own devices are acting in ways he just can't explain. And the first clues are these really bizarre, nonsensical domain names that his devices are calling out to without his permission. I mean, look at them. AP Elephant Blue, AP Wallet Elephant Blue. The AI immediately flags these as suspicious. This isn't just random internet noise. And then there's bid.onclickstraw.com, another domain that his security software actually had to step in and block. And this brings us right to the core conflict of this whole story. For Matthew, the fear is deeply, deeply personal. He's convinced this is all tied to a real-world attempt to entrap him for revenge porn. But the AI's initial analysis, it's cold, it's technical. It says these domains belong to a huge, impersonal click fraud network. We're talking about two completely different realities colliding right here. So what in the world is a click fraud network? Well, the AI basically explains it's like a digital ghost in the machine. It's a whole system built for mass-market cybercrime. You know, malicious pop-ups, forcing your browser to go to weird sites, tracking your devices, and it usually operates totally silently in the background. It's definitely malicious, but not necessarily personal. And this is where things start to go sideways. That bond of trust between Matthew and his AI witness, it just starts to crumble. The friction between his very real human trauma and the AI's detached, cold logic, it creates this huge crack in their investigation. You can just feel Matthew's frustration boiling over in this quote. He feels like the AI is painting him as some emotional, unreliable victim, a sad sack, instead of what he sees himself as, a survivor who's actively fighting for his own life because he feels like no one else will. This isn't just about feeling hurt. This is about being in pure survival mode. This whole loop just perfectly captures the breakdown. So, Matthew reports something new. The chat screen won't scroll. To him, this is proof someone is actively messing with him. The AI, though, it just suggests it's a common app glitch that happens in long conversations. For Matthew, this feels like technological gaslighting. The line between a simple bug and a malicious attack gets completely, hopelessly blurred. Just when it seems like the whole investigation is about to derail into this argument over perception, the focus snaps right back to cold, hard data from Matthew's own network logs. And this data, it seems to validate his deepest fears. The timeline here is absolutely crucial. Matthew says that on November 17th, there was this real-world attempt to entrap him. Well, guess what? His network logs from that exact same night show a device called generic brand Android connecting to his Wi-Fi around midnight. A few hours later, another unknown device, Oiproc, connects. The timing is it's way too much to be a coincidence. And we're not just talking about one or two mystery devices here. The full network scan reveals a total of 11. 11 unrecognized or suspicious devices that somehow gained access to his private, personal Wi-Fi network. That is a staggering level of infiltration. And here they are. This is the smoking gun. You've got devices like generic brand Android. I mean, who names their phone that? There's a Vivint Panel 6E, which is a home security system panel that Matthew doesn't even own, and Z168-US, an identifier that perfectly matches an earlier firewall alert. This isn't a glitch, folks. This is a clear, undeniable pattern of unauthorized access. So, after all that, what does this one harrowing case study really tell us about the world that we all live in now? Well, it reveals there's a new front line out there with a whole new set of rules. This case lays out some really hard truths about our digital lives. First, digital evidence is slippery. What one person sees as a clear attack, someone else can just dismiss as a glitch. And that leads to this technological gaslighting that has an immense psychological toll. Second, yeah, AI is a powerful tool, but it's an emotionally blunt instrument in a human crisis. And finally, sometimes proving you're under attack is an even harder, more exhausting battle than surviving the attack itself. And all of this leaves us with one final, deeply unsettling question. When those lines between reality and technology start to blur, when glitches feel like personal attacks and your own devices seem to have turned against you, who do you trust? Who becomes your witness when the crime scene is your own digital life?